you tonight. And we have a lot tonight in the program. We have greetings from an esteemed principal of Beis Rivka. We have a panel, we have a concert, and we're looking forward.
Okay. In preparing for tonight's event, alongside all Crown Heights women's organizations, schools, shuls, businesses, and individuals, the message of the Rebbe's last Farbrengen so far comes to mind. I am forever grateful to my parents for encouraging me to come to Beis Rivka Seminary in the years Nun Aleph and Nun Beis. The Rebbe showered us with his care and attention, Farbrengen, sichas, dollars, coins, and that Farbrengen I remember clearly. Rabbi Yankee Tauber sums it up like this. Imperfect individuals brought together in love and unity make perfect communities.
There are 3 organizations in specific that really joined together in planning this HAKHEL, which is really not just a HAKHEL of us women that are here, but a HAKHEL of women's organizations. We're going to list all of them later, but I just wanted to point 3 out now that were really partners that jumped right in to help us. And that is Junior Nishay, Mikvah.org, and the Crown Heights Jewish Community Council in this first ever women's HAKHEL of all these organizations. And we all saying together, Rebbe, we're here to unite, we're here to illuminate, we're here to welcome Mashiach. Please rise. We're going to have the Rebbe and the Rebbetzins Kapitel and going straight into words about HAKHEL from our Rebbe.
During temple times, all Jewish men, women, and children would gather in Jerusalem to observe the commandment of HAKHEL, when the Torah was read by the king of Israel in the temple court. This assembly was held once every 7 years, and it served to inspire the people to grow in their fear of God and Torah observance.
Easter retten sich wegen der Minie von HAKHEL und hat das als Mann Hamassim, wie bald das HAKHEL hebt sich schon von Reish Hashanah und der Chonel hebt sich noch von der Shana Shelifnisse. Allachas bekam als in HAKHEL mich in hereingegangen. Mehrere wie 3 Tage, was wir Gimel 7 habe Chazoka. Und man halt schon in einer Reihe von Aseres mit Schuhe und Chulu, mit alle in Yonim Amurim Liefnisse. A jeder soll gleich an dem Ton bemerkt Achi Godel, Kechol Hoefsche auf Shori Shalei, auf einwirkend, annehmendig von sich allein, was jeder Mensch hat sich in sich dem Chelik Shalei, wo das mit dem Teiche bedugma von Anoshim, der Chelik mit was verbunden mit Anogas Oilum und Anogas Abayis und Chinuch Aboni, was das ist verbunden mit Noshim. Und der Chelik Shebe, was ist verbunden, was ist am Kabel und am Chunach und Joksach noch allein mit Mikol Loden und Chulu, was das ist bedürfen von Ktanim und nicht Ktanim, soll das Ufton basiert. Als sie alle sollen als sie die alle Chalokim sollen durchgenommen werden mit demselben Gedanke von der Jiras Hawaii, Kol HaYomi v'chol HaInyoni v'chol HaProti v'chulu v'eid v'yiker und das helft täglich zu Peil sein Basir, bis tut das und bewegt einer auf alle Jiden herum sich. Und der alle Jiden, was Konsi machen, herum sich durch was sich verbinden mit sie durch Ava, was damals wird das Verbund, was im Machschi, das soll nicht kabel werden, dworauf, was so äußer, bis der zu wem redet, fühlt, als redet es mit dem, oder mit dir, mit Zadru, was behaftet, Leacho, Konecho, will bei ihm das Spiel sein, der Pfarrer, das behaftet, Leacho, Konecho, fühlt, das ist die beste Sache und die teilste Sache und die nötigste Sache, befreit bei Yomi Mebel. Und der Iker nicht abgehen von der Pastor, so Yonim Afalpi, wo das nicht, bis manche bis Amigdash Shoya Kaya, und nicht in Eretz Yisrael, aber al kol poni, wie bald hat es Manne gekommen, und wir lernen in der Paschische Beteirot, und schon gelernt wegen Paschas HAKHEL, sollen wir legen ein Stadles Miyuchoda auf Maschpia sein, als ihnen bechol Mokim Sheheim, sollen sich zusammenkleiden in der Nefen Hamasim, und bei Mokim Hamasim, und Bisman Hamasim, wenn sie Masim zu Maschpia sein, Beschleimus und Kedorisch. Allachas bekam anheben bei sich allein in sein Schun oder in sein Stadt oder in sein Chug, wo hat der Aschpa Miyuchodo, soll dort Makil sein. Anoshim betab beifn Mutter, wie wenn geht zu Noshim, eben das letztlich wegen Anoshim, weil der sehr beapoche. Und befragt nach Anoshim, wenn geht zu Anoshim. Und Noshim, wenn geht zu Noshim, wie Kajitze Bose, und erzählen sie unheimlich von Ayinisch als Mann glauben mit Apostel von Teire, wie es wird erzählt wegen Mitzvahs HAKHEL, mit Apostel, was mir sagt, und ich schaue mal vor ihm zu sehen, und wie der erklärt hat, das ist ein Echet als Gula, Adurach und ich schaue mal vor ihm zu sehen, ist mir Memahe, soll sein und ich schaue mal vor ihm bepastus, in den Beis Amigdash bepastus. Und der Ikiram soll luften mit sich und luften mit der Zweiten und luften mit der Dritten und mit Kol Leile zu welcher konnte Griechen, als alle sollen sein, Kiishechot, Belewechot, in der alle Inyonim Hamurim und gehen Lechail El Choil zu Achas Bashona, alle die Teira Achas, wo damit wer der Gile echt von Yechida Aklolis, wo das ist der Gile von und der Bier, Biose, wie Gilui shel Yechida Aklolis von David Malke Mishiche.
We give cover to our Balachsanya, Beis Rivka, and we'll start with greetings from a Beis Rivka principal. To introduce this principle, a military motto comes to mind: Semper Fidelis, always faithful. In her interactions with students and staff, this always shines through. We are Hasidim, loyal soldiers, always faithful to our Rebbe and our mission. Please help me introduce Mrs. Leah Jacobson.
It's a little hard to see with this light. I'm a little shocked, Zohar, if I can say. I thought my claim to fame is that we grew up together. Okay. We both hail from the same state, the state of Florida. We grew up together, so thank you, Zohar. It's very interesting to look out onto this crowd. I was just here a couple of hours ago, and the room was filled, Kinai Nahara, with the Beis Rivka HAKHEL, 650 girls, Kinai Nahara, from grades 4 to 8, that I have the privilege to be principal of, as we ate lunch together. Very, very different crowd now. I'm used to speaking to them, so I hope you'll, I only do this once a year at graduation where I see these kind of chairs. So I'm going to try my best. Welcome to our beautiful building, Campus Chumash, named for the Rebbetzin. And I can't think of a better place, a more befitting Makom Kodesh than this place to have our first HAKHEL. Tonight is a HAKHEL gathering, but in essence, HAKHEL does not require a gathering. The Rebbe once said that each and every single person can actually make his own private HAKHEL in his own private home, because each and every single person is an Olam Maleh. But tonight we have the extra schus of having a HAKHEL of so many people together. What actually is a HAKHEL? How many of us actually know what HAKHEL was like? I know that I didn't until I did some research. So I'm going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to ask everybody to come together with me on a magic carpet as we go back in time to the Beis HaMikdash and experience HAKHEL together. The Rebbe tells us that the Rambam tells us that on the 8th year, the year after Shemitah, was the year that a year we know, Shemitah is a year that the Yidden spent in an incredible relationship with the Eibishter. There was no Gashmias. They gave up their jobs working the field, and they spent the entire year in Avodah, reconnecting with the Rebbeinu Shalom, truly understanding and living what we try to live, and that is bitachon, that the Eibishter is going to provide for us. At the end of that Shemitah year, after that 7th year, the Rambam says, on the 8th year was Shnas HAKHEL. 8, we know, is Lemayla min derech hateva. The Yidden were on now that level. And after that 7th year, a year of full bitachon in the Eibishter, understanding that Teva does not rule our lives, the Yidden were now in the 8th year, Lemayla min derech hateva. And the Eibishter wanted to be able to bottle that inspiration. He wanted that inspiration to lead the Jews for the next 7 years until they reach Shemitah again. And that was the purpose of HAKHEL, to infuse the Yidden with this understanding and inspiration that they should learn, they should listen, they should hear, so that they should have Yiras Hashem. So once again, I ask you all to join me as we head back to the Beis HaMikdash, Shnas HAKHEL. It was Chol HaMoed Sukkos. We can all hear the trumpets as they are blowing through the streets in Yerushalayim, gathering the men, the women, the children, the infants. A wooden stage, a bima shel eitz, in the Ezras Nashim has been erected so that the king, when he enters, can be elevated and his voice can carry for all to hear. Everyone gathers around, and with much pomp and splendor, the procession begins. We can all see the Chazan is carrying the Sefer Torah and hands it to the chief of the congregation. The Torah is then carried by the chief of the congregation to the waiting arms of the Sgan Kohen Gadol. The Sgan Kohen Gadol hugs the Sefer Torah, walks over to the Kohen Gadol, and finally, the Kohen Gadol passes the holy Sefer Torah to the Melech himself. Now we can all hear the king, dressed in his royal splendor, reading from the precious Sefer Torah. He's reading the Parshias and Shema, the Klolos, the Brachas. He's reading about our precious mitzvahs. And then the Melech finishes and makes Birchas HaTorah. But then something else happens. The Melech begins and recites 7 special brachas. The first 2 brachas are Ritzeina and Moedim Anachnu in Shmoneh Esrei. The third bracha is Ato V'chartanu Mikol Ha'amim. The fourth bracha, the king has asked Hashem to protect the Beis HaMikdash. Baruch Atah Hashem Hashoichein B'Tzion. Then the king davens for the security of Am Yisrael. Haboicher b'Yisrael. Then the king turns to the Eibishter and he asks the Eibishter to accept the service of the Kohanim. Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadesh HaKohanim. And then for the last bracha, once again, the Melech davens for us, Klal Yisrael. Haisha Hashem es Amcha Yisrael, she'amcha tzrichin lehivasheya. Your people, Hashem, need your help. We cannot survive without it. We are commanded, the Rambam tells us, to listen with great concentration and stand with great awe and respect throughout this entire ceremony. Even if we can't hear or we don't understand what the Melech is saying, we were to stand as if at Har Sinai, receiving the Torah as we did from Hashem, because the king, the Melech, was the Eibishter's Shliach. I'm going to ask you now to journey with me to Tafshin Mem Aleph, 1980, the first night of Sukkot. The Rebbe has finished saying a Sikha, right? The Rebbe used to say a Sikha Sukkot with a bima on the Rebbe's stender. The Rebbe has finished saying a Sikha. It's right after Ma'ariv. And the Rebbe goes to the large sukkah that was in the back. The sukkah that used to house the many orchim before Rabbi Rubashkin does on President Street. The big sukkah in the back. The Rebbe goes in to check on his orchim that have come to see the Melech for Chodesh Tishrei. Almost as soon as the Rebbe enters the sukkah, a large commotion begins. First, the Rebbe asks to see the Yom Tov Licht. Where are they? And they point them out to the Rebbe. Then the Rebbe asks, where's the Ezras Nashim? Where are the women seated? And they point to the back of the sukkah where the women used to sit. Then the Rebbe starts motioning to the Gabayim, and nobody knows what the Rebbe wants. A couple of moments later, the Gabayim come with a milk carton, and they put it on the floor. And all those who were there hear the Rebbe saying these words loud and clear. Not this. Bima shel eitz. We need a wooden stage. And quickly, and I don't know from where, they get the wooden stage, the Bima shel eitz. And then our Melech stood on the Bima shel eitz and taught us Torah. Like the original Matan Torah, the Matan Torah and Shnas HAKHEL could only happen once the HAKHEL happened, once everyone was gathered around Har Sinai, the Noshim V'taf, Ke'ish Echad, B'leiv Echad, as the Rebbe said on the video. Not 2 individuals, not 10 individuals, not 100 or even 1,000 individuals, but individuals that were transformed into an entire different entity. Individuals that became a nation that strength can never be weighed, because united we are much more than the sum of the parts. Ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. And it was an atmosphere, both at Matan Torah, both in the Beis Hamikdash and in 770 in the sukkah outside. The magnitude and the power of that HAKHEL was exactly what the Eibishter wanted, to give us strength to truly learn, listen, and grow our Yiras Shamayim. And it is specifically through this Achdus that creates the vessel for, the Rebbe says, Barcheinu Avinu Kulanu Ke'echad. Only when we are united does this sinner, this keli, allow for the Eibishter's brachas to fall into. So may the Eibishter bless us that from this gorgeous HAKHEL, from this beautiful keli that we have now created, may the Eibishter bench each and every one of us with the coming of Mashiach, so that we can all experience the HAKHEL with Malkeinu B'Reishenu, our Rebbe. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Jacobson, for being a Jewish woman influencer, then and now. And now, we're going to have a quick teaser from Yafosh Bar Kahan.
Everybody! קום 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 והתהלך בארץ, התהלך בארץ הקדושה. קום והתהלך בארץ הקדושה, בארץ אשר הרקע. קום 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 והתהלך בארץ, התהלך בארץ הקדושה. קום והתהלך בארץ הקדושה, בארץ אשר הרקע. ימה ימה ימה, ימה ימה ימה, צפונה ונגבה, כי את כל הארץ אשר אתה רואה, לך לך אצלנה את ארץ ישראל. ימה וקדמה, ימה ימה ימה, צפונה ונגבה, כי את כל הארץ אשר אתה רואה, לך לך אצלנה את ארץ ישראל. ימה 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 כי את כל הארץ אשר אתה רואה לך לך אצלנו את ארץ ישראל ימה וקדמה ימה 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 צפונה ונגבה כי את כל הארץ אשר אתה רואה לך לך אצלנו את ארץ ישראל לך לך אצלנו את ארץ ישראל. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here tonight. Keep going. שמיים מלאים עננים וניצוצות של כוכבים מאירים את העולם כוכבים כמו בני אדם שמאירים את העולם ויש אור לכולם אם נשיר עכשיו כולנו יחד עם אהבה בלב נוכל לחיות בלי שום פחד אם רק נשכח את הגב רק אז העולם יהיה ביחד ולא נדע מלחמה הכל יהיה כמו בחלום כשיבוא שלום שמיים מלאים עננים וניצוצות של כוכבים מאירים את העולם יש כוכבים כמו בני אדם שמאירים את העולם ויש אור לכולם אם נשיר עכשיו כולנו יחד עם אהבה בלב נוכל לחיות בלי שום פחד כן כן רגע נשכח את הכאב רק אז העולם יהיה ביחד ולא נדע מלחמה הכל יהיה כמו בחלום כשיבוא Thank you so much. See you soon.
They say never to compare children, so I'm not going to compare last night to tonight. But we had 1,200 girls here last night. We could borrow some of their energy. When Yafa will come on more, we could sing, we could dance, and in your bags you even have a little glow-up stick so that we could all illuminate together. I want to share with you a story of a time that I got lost. I went missing. It was when I was in seminary, and there was a criminal who escaped prison. His name was Benny Sella. And as you know, seminary girls dramatize everything. Benny Sella is on the loose in Sfas. Now, it was production practice time, and I didn't show up to production practice. My friends started saying, like, where's Sarla? Where is she? What's happening? And no one sees me. And it's getting later, and it's getting later. My friends start getting nervous. They start telling the security guard, and they start looking, and Benny Sella's on the loose. Now, it happened to be that at that time, they were redoing my dira. They were painting it over, and somebody found that the painter left a painter's knife on my bed. Now, could you imagine the tension? Somebody found a knife on my bed. Benny Sella is loose, and I'm missing. And then somebody comes in a panic and says, I heard strange sounds, only in Tzfas, coming from the mikvah. It's getting later. It's 11 o'clock. It's 12 o'clock. My dear friends, they rode into the ayal. They start saying Tehillim. It's 12 o'clock at night. It's 1 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. And I am sleeping in an empty high school dormitory because the Israeli high school girls go home for Shabbos. And I had a friend in the high school, and I guess collapsed on her bed. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm awoken by a panicked security guard who's like, "Ma ishtagat?" And I was like, "What? I just woke up. I was just sleeping." And I came out to a world of frenzy, of chaos, of panic, of missing, of should they call my parents, should they not call my parents? All that action, and I was sleeping. Sometimes there could be a lot going on around us, and we feel like, what's going on? We're sleeping. We have no idea. There's a buzz, there's a HAKHEL, and there's signs, and there's songs, and there's emails, and there's, and inside we're like, what HAKHEL? What? I'm just sleeping. And so what we want to do together here, like Mrs. Jacobson so eloquently started off, is wake up. Understand, experience. We're not reenacting the HAKHEL here. We don't have a king reading from the Torah. But what we want to do is wake up and live HAKHEL. Because this year, everything has the twist of HAKHEL. And today, Chof Cheshvon, when we're celebrating everything that we learned from the Rebbe Rashab, and we hear a lot of words thrown around. A chassid is a lamplighter. Illuminate. And so what we want to do tonight in the panel is explore a little bit. What does it mean to illuminate? What does it mean? How do we wake up to this concept of HAKHEL, to this buzz, to this noise? Why we pulled you out on this freezing night to come, obviously, to enjoy the concert. But we're going to explore and wake up together. And I thought it was actually pretty amazing because we have 4 incredible panelists. And when they put together their speeches and we spoke about what they were going to answer, I'm just kidding. It's all we didn't pre-plan this. It's all going to be just natural. But I saw something fascinating. Each panelist really shined a light on a different circle. And from the inside, going outside, from ourselves to our homes, to our communities, to the world, we're going to really get an understanding of what is HAKHEL. We're going to welcome
Sarah Korn runs the Chabad House of the Bowery with her husband and children in downtown Manhattan, hosting hundreds of students every week. Sarah is a certified Kala teacher through mikvah.org, and she's passionate about teaching Taras HaMishpacha, Chassidus in general, and especially in Yana Geula Mashiach. You can join her WhatsApp groups. The time has come, and Purifying Waters for short weekly doses of inspiration. Please welcome Sarah Korn.
So let's just jump right in.
Okay. Hi.
Tonight is Chof Cheshvon. Today is Chof Cheshvon. We spoke about illuminating. We spoke about HAKHEL. And before we go and illuminate others, what's the first thing that you need to do?
Illuminate yourself, for sure. And I wanted to talk about this. Someone sent me a video of the Rebbe on Erev Shabbos. It was a father who was concerned about his 2 daughters. Should I be looking at you or looking at them? Which way?
When I was in 11th grade drama class, our drama teacher told us something, cheat towards the audience. So we're going to cheat towards the audience where we're pretending we're having a conversation, but we're cheating towards the audience.
Got it. So someone sent me this video, and this father, he asked the Rebbe, I have these two daughters, and I'm very concerned about them. I want them to feel more warm towards Yiddishkeit. And the Rebbe looked at him and said, be inspired yourself, be an example. And the father looked at him, and he kind of gave him a smile. And the Rebbe said, it's both peaceful and effective. I really loved that.
Wow. So what if it gets like overwhelming? We're busy, we have a million things to do, we work or we don't work, and pulled in all directions. How do you find the time to get inspired?
Yeah, I think that's the question. So I'll tell you a story. It was probably about 18 years ago. I was struggling with something in my personal life. I was having a hard time getting inspired. And I wrote a letter to the Rebbe, and I put it in the Iras Kodesh. And I got an answer. How can you expect to overcome this challenge that you're having when you're not learning Chassidus twice a day? So I get this answer, and I'm like, I feel the Rebbe speaking to me. It's definitely an answer to my question, but I'm totally freaking out. I'm like, how am I going to find the time to learn Chassidus twice a day? I have little kids. I'm busy. I'm a shlucha. So I called my mashpia, and I told her what was going on, and she said to me, 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes. And at that time, I was doing chitas, but I wasn't really learning so much. So I said, I could do that. I could learn 5 minutes a day. And sometimes it was even just a minute and a half. I would grab, a good chumash and read a spark of Chassidus, and sometimes it was a mimer. And, I would be like, anytime I could catch my husband for 2 minutes to help me translate, because my Hebrew translation skills were not so great back then. Not so great now either, actually. But thank God now there's a lot more Chassidus in English. So, yeah, and those 5 minutes a day were transformative, for sure.
And do you see, the impact, because you started off with, the Rebbe's answering to the family. Do you see an impact on your family from you being inspired?
Yeah, so for sure I see an impact on my family. Actually, those moments when I would, ask my husband to help me translate a mimer, my kids, they were very little then, and they tell me now, they look back and they say to me, we always saw you and Tati learning together. It inspired us so much. And now, and for me, those 5 minutes really turned into much more because it became so ingrained in me to learn. I grew to love it so much that now, naturally, I actually do learn like a half an hour a day. But in those days, that seemed like completely impossible. And it's amazing how those 5 minutes turned into so much more. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
And it's that ability of the 5 minutes a day that really gives you the kayach and the strength to host how many people every Friday night?
Yeah, so our Shabbos table is not really a Shabbos table. It's more like a Shabbos scene. But it's, like a few hundred students every Friday night, like somewhere around 300, yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Sarah. I know it's such a tease that we only have you for 5 minutes and those few questions, because people already asked me, are you going to bring it back to hear more of your story? So we definitely want to hear more from you. But thank you for sharing about how 5 minutes made a difference to you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Rivki Levy is first and foremost a mother in Crown Heights. She's also a life coach and public speaker. She gives shiurim on emunah and bitachon and inspires people to live their best lives. Please welcome Rivki Levy.
Right when we decided we're doing a HAKHEL, we're bringing together women, multiple organizations, Rivki Levy was like, I'm in. And I said, why? Why are you so passionate about HAKHEL?
Okay, so I always felt a very strong connection to the Rebbe. And on my birthday, I like to sponsor once a year the Rebbe clip of the day, the Maimar. And 7 years ago, when I sponsored it, the message of the day was about HAKHEL. And I thought, well, I already do a gathering once a month on my block, so I'm covered. I don't have to do anything. That Friday, I went to Menachem Level, a friend, and she said, what should I do in honor of my mother? I said, why don't you make a HAKHEL once a month in the building? That Shabbos, we ate out, and my friend said to me, I'm in this building, I don't know anyone. What should I do? How should I connect? I said, why don't you start a HAKHEL once a month in your building? And that's how, then I realized what the message the Rebbe wanted, and an idea was born. We were going to start a HAKHEL campaign. So I called my mother. I said, Ma, I need help. She came over. We made a list of all the buildings in Crown Heights. We wrote one person we know from each building, and we called them. And we got 30 buildings in Crown Heights to have a HAKHEL. And the most important message I want to say is that every single person here can do it, and you can encourage others. And I'm going to just say 3 quick tips. 1, post on your chat, your building chat, your block chat, let's start a HAKHEL. Get as many, and then say, who wants to host at some point? And then hopefully everyone will say, me, me, me. Now you have a list of people who are interested in hosting, and then every month you just say, who would like to host this month? Also, you don't need a speaker. Get a good book, Chavos Avavos, anything. And try to do it like a set time and date, like every Rosh Chodesh, Shabbos Varchim. If you don't like to bake, like me, buy it. If you don't want it to go on all day, make a set time. There's so many things you can do. If you have kids around, invite other kids, and everybody can HAKHEL.
You know, Sarah spoke about illuminating herself in order to illuminate others, and I know you're very passionate about this too, so the twist tonight is HAKHEL and illuminating. How do you HAKHEL or illuminate in your own home?
Okay, so the Rebbe says that the message of HAKHEL is to just increase Torah and mitzvahs at any possible opportunity. So that can be at any time, a birthday party, a Meleva Malka, at the Shabbos meal, or wherever you are, even at the ice cream store, you know. Just say a few psukim, give some tzedakah, say a nice hashgacha prata story, and there you are. You added light into the world. Also, for Chesed Yom Tovim, just take a picture of that Rebbe, put it on the table, 2 candles, and always buy a treat. And keep it very, very short, because nobody wants to be there for too long, right? And the most important is the treat. Like my kids will be like, Mas, Yates Kislev, should I go buy ice cream? It's Cheshvon, should I buy ice cream? It's always associated with something nice and fun. And in general, if you want to bring anything to the house, the best way to do it is with happiness and joy. It shouldn't be like a burden or pressure. One small thing I like to do in my house is I like to just keep a quick cheshbon in my brain to make sure I spend time with every kid that day. So it just brings love and happiness and joy, make sure everyone gets their attention. Even something small, spending a little extra time at the supper table, reading a book, you know, start a game of sorry with a few kids, and after 5 rounds, walk away, you know, just any type of interaction with the kids, and then when the house is happy, whatever you want to bring in, people are gonna want to join.
I could listen to these tips all day. But I have a question for you. You know, you're a sheer giver. Like everyone knows Rivki Levy, she teaches Emunah, she teaches B'tachon, and some people are like, that's just not my type. Like, I don't do that. Either I'm a stay-at-home mother, I have a job. I'm not a sheer giver, so I'm not the type to just invite people over and make HAKHEL.
Right, so there's so many different ways that we could increase Torah mitzvahs in our life, and you don't have to speak to give a HAKHEL. First of all, if you don't like to speak, you could host. There's so many different things that people can do. People often ask of other people, how does she do it? Like, oh, how does she do that? How does she do that? I think the secret is they pick mitzvahs that work for them. Like, I cannot stand driving, so I will not offer to drive people to hospitals or offer to deliver food to people, you know, that just had babies, but I can make supper. If you are good at, you know, making flyers, you can make a flyer for someone. Also, like for a HAKHEL event, also, okay, I lost my train of thought.
Other ways, other than giving a share, how else can you
Status.
HAKHEL?
I love to status. You see a gorgeous video that you like, a nice meme, don't just keep it to yourself, spread the wealth. And really, we are lamplighters, and wherever we are, we can just spread our lights. We don't have to even do anything, we just have to be. So the other day, I had to get a root canal, not fun. So I went to a brand new dentist, I never saw him before, and when I met him, the first most important question I said to him was, how bad is it gonna hurt? He's like, not so much. No, not true, it hurt a lot. The second question I said is, are you Jewish? And he said, yes, but not practicing. So I took out my neshek and I asked him if he wants to ask his wife, if she wants the lights. And as we left, he actually walked me to the door and he said, look what's hanging, a mezuzah. And he said some boys came and asked him if he wants a mezuzah. And that's what it says in the Hayam Yom on Cheshvon. We are lamplighters, and we can just use our influence. We all have our influence. We just have to tap into it. So the question is, how will you use your influence today?
Wow, thank you. I do want to point out that Neshei Chabad Miftzayim set up a beautiful table of Miftzayim and Neshek outside. So if you also, when you're going to the dentist and your teeth are muzzled up, want to talk to the dentist, then you could give it a shot or keep it in your purse. Thank you so, so much for sharing with us how you illuminate in your home. And now let's welcome our next presenter.
Chasi Rifkin grew up on Shluchos in Houston, Texas. Watching her parents grow a community and live a life connected to the Rebbe continues to influence her mindset every day. Along with her primary role as a proud mother, she's also an active community member, involved in the local education and the shape programming in her current hometown of Morristown. As a director of operations for mikvah.org for over a decade, she has been instrumental in bringing inspiration and education for Jewish women to individual homes throughout the world, through podcasts and classes, mikvah resources, books, and materials. Please welcome Chasi Rifkin.
So Chasi, how do you understand, living HAKHEL and what it means, HAKHEL?
So it's interesting that when we look at the pasuk that talks about HAKHEL es hanashim v'hataf, it's actually a tzivui, it's a mitzvah for the king. The king has a command to gather the men, the women, and the children to go up to Yerushalayim. And if you think about it for a moment, that's actually a really big request of us. I mean, think about how easy is it to take a few kids up Kingston for some errands. I know, it's not so fun. And here, the parents are being asked to take their children, the smallest children, up to be Eilul Regel Yerushalayim. It's a big trip. And when they did that, it wasn't even their own mitzvah they're fulfilling. Yes, they were infusing their children with Yerushalayim. That was the purpose of going. But they were fulfilling the mitzvah for the king. So here we have the king, the ultimate leader, the ultimate giver, needing the nation to show up in order for him to be able to fulfill this mitzvah. So when I think of HAKHEL, I think of that Hashem set the world in general, that we are all givers and receivers, and our roles aren't static. Sometimes we're the givers, and when we do, we should give generously. And sometimes we're the receivers, and when we do, we should know Hashem put us in that position, and we should do so with humility and grace. So I, Baruch Hashem, have been privileged to, most of the time, be in a position of leadership and being able to give. But about 9 months ago, my family we experienced a tremendous nisayon when my daughter had an accident in our home, and I'll take a moment to daven publicly with the kayach of the kahal here for refuah shlema for Chavagota Bas Hanya Chasya.
Amen.
And being in that position of significant receiving. I mean, everything. Meals, pick up my kids, send toys, everything. Made me realize the importance of the circles around me. The people, the circles, my Morristown community, my family, my high school classmates, my network of mikvah.org kala teachers and mikvah attendants, they were my circles. And they really supported me and my family during this challenging time. So when I think about HAKHEL, which was your question, I say, we all have circles. And HAKHEL is a time for us to think about them and build them if we don't have strong ones, and strengthen the ones that we have already. It's a time to build and strengthen our circles.
Wow. So it's almost like this ruchniistic support group, begashmias and ruchnias. It's like...
Absolutely.
So how do you do it? How would you, suggest or encourage us to strengthen our HAKHEL circles?
So, in business, it's known that networking is the key to success. When you network, that's how you're going to have a successful business. And For HAKHEL, it's a spiritual networking. We gather with our circles around us and not just keep it at a superficial level of, hey, where'd you get shoes and where I'm going shopping, but we actually take the time to do spiritual networking. Then we're actually influencing each other in our chinuch, in our homes, in our marriage, in our relationships, in everything, in our hashkafa and outlook on life. It becomes a spiritual networking experience. So as a community, this is a very big community, the Crown Heights community, and I come from a pretty small community, Morristown, but whichever size community you have, we can't take our circles for granted. We need to invest in them. We need to work on them. We need to gather together. We can have a big gathering like this, or we can have small gatherings. We can gather with the women in our building, or the people on our block, the women our husbands go to shul with, the mothers of our children's classmates. We all have circles, and we need to invest in them and strengthen in them in order to be able to have that spiritual networking experience.
It's almost like when HAKHEL's in the lexicon, we normalize it like as a thing to do. Like one of my friends were telling me, she's like, yeah, we get together, we HAKHEL. Every time we get together, it's a different color and like potluck, and everyone has to bring like an orange something or red. It's like we normalized for everybody that we do this, that we're not just getting together to hang out or kvetch or, but that in a year of HAKHEL especially, we're really strengthening and adding in Yerushalayim, which is the whole point of HAKHEL.
Right, so that's why I feel like we have to consciously choose that we got together anyways,
Right.
And now we're going to bring in a Torah word. We're going to think about a friend who could use our help. We're going to be something spiritual to this experience, and that makes us spiritually networked. That influences each other and strengthens us in everything.
Some people say, like, they came to the HAKHEL, let's say the big HAKHEL in Easton Parkway, and it was incredible, but every time they come to a HAKHEL, they're told to go make a HAKHEL, 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 and people are like, so what's HAKHEL if every time I come to a HAKHEL, you're telling me to make another HAKHEL?
So we have HAKHEL on the macro level and on the micro level. So this is a HAKHEL. It's a really big HAKHEL, and it's amazing to see so many women here. But it doesn't have to be this big to be a HAKHEL. It's not, I'm not a macher, I can't make a HAKHEL. Everyone can make a HAKHEL because, as you had said, we normalize our get-togethers. We all have circles. We all have people who we get together with sometimes. If we don't, let's think about who we can get together with, who can we network with, who can we build as our circle, and those small things become a HAKHEL. You're going out with your friends for coffee, so don't just have coffee. Also say, hey, this year's a HAKHEL year, so our coffee gathering this week or this month is HAKHEL. Let's just briefly talk about what the parsha of the week is. Let's briefly talk about something inspiring that you heard that flew around on your social media, that you heard yesterday from your neighbor, and think about someone who might need help, as I mentioned before, and that becomes the HAKHEL. Shabbos, it's very common to maybe if your children are lucky enough to live in a big enough community that you have a Masiba Shabbos, maybe they're going somewhere every week. But if not, it's common to have your own children and say the psukim with them. So this year, it's HAKHEL. Every Masiba Shabbos can be a HAKHEL. A month ago, Shabbos Bereishis was my daughter's birthday, and I felt the burden of really utilizing every moment for Ruchnias. As when you think about your birthday, it's a serious day. And so I asked the world to share the burden with me, the schus of having something special on that day. So I asked everyone to make a HAKHEL, and on Shabbos, just say the psukim, give everyone a treat, play a fun game. It doesn't need to be long and it doesn't need to be big. The response was really amazing. There was over 100 women who participated. It influenced over 1,000 children who had a HAKHEL that Shabbos Bereishis. And it wasn't all community leaders. It was regular mothers in regular homes. Some were just with their own family, with the people who lived on their block, with their cousins or their nephews. It wasn't this major job for any of them. But together it became so big. And that's how I see it here, that all of us here in this room, we all can make a HAKHEL once a week, once a month, every Shabbos Varchim, on Reish Chodesh, whatever, the second Monday, if that works for you. It doesn't matter. And it's let's get together with our friends once a week, or let's get together with our friends once a month, let's gather some children once a month, and we can HAKHEL the whole time. By that Shabbos, a few people had come over to me afterwards and said, it was so amazing and so simple for me that I don't feel like I can stop. I mean, why should I stop at Shabbos Bereishis? I'm going to do this all year. So that's it. That's HAKHEL. Let's do it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us about what it looks like to illuminate on a community level. Thank you.
Shelley Ataraman is the director of the Jewish Education Initiatives for Chabad Learning Foundation, which is a nonprofit for the education of children, women, and seniors. Shelley grew up in Israel, but currently lives here in New York. She has experience in business and directing and advising early childhood preschool centers. She is passionate about and involved in educating children, women, and seniors, and bringing them close to Yiddishkeit and their roots. Please welcome Shelley Ataraman.
You know, I heard a story that I loved it. The Rebbe Rashab was in Vienna with his son, and they were learning halacha together in a shul, I don't know, somewhere. And another Yid came in and saw them learning halacha, and the Yid tells them, you know, it's important to learn and be intellectual, but it's like even more important to internalize it, that it should like reach your heart. And the Rebbe Rashab says, like, what do you mean? And he said, I have a book that I use that helps me internalize it. And he pulls out a Tanya. And he shows it to the Rebbe Rashab. He says, this is a book that I use to help me internalize all the halacha that I'm learning. Thought it was such a great story. You know, could you imagine like, oh yeah, Tanya? That as Chabad Hasidim, we're not just learning the halacha and getting inspired to grow, but we want it to reach our heart. We want all the Tanya and the Hasidus and everything that we infused ourselves with. Like Sarah said, we start in ourselves by learning, and then we spread out to our homes or apartments or environments, wherever we are, and then it spreads out to the community. And now we want to take that light and bring it out to the whole world. And my question to you is, Shelley, but like, how do I have access to that whole world? I don't live on Shluchas in Timbuktu. I'm right here. I'm in Crown Heights. I'm living my life. How can I do this HAKHEL and illuminate the entire world?
So first, thank you for having us tonight. And the way I look at it is like this. We're all shluchim. We either have a building or a car or whatever it is, the way we do our shluchas, we're all shluchim. And we all have that responsibility. We all have, like the Rebbe Rashab said, we all have a special light, a special flame. And it's not ours. We have to share it. So wherever we go and whatever we do, we have to find a way to share that light, because it is our responsibility. It's not our light. It's a light that was given to us by Hashem, and we have to spread it. So I realized throughout time that usually what comes easy to us is the thing that you need to spread. So many years ago when I had a coffee shop or even a candy shop or wherever I worked, I noticed that I have access to children, big groups of children, mothers, seniors. So I tried to use that in my work, and to find even work. I create projects when I see an opportunity to HAKHEL and to teach others. So this year I started a program called My Shabbat, Shabbat Sheli. And I go to parks. I go to like a Dumbo park, a very big park that has a lot of people, a lot of kids. And I put on a microphone and I bring a lot of toys and Shabbat toys, and I do a welcoming Shabbat program. And I start putting like a Shabbos song on my phone with a microphone, and then people start coming, and I start to set up like a little blanket with a few toys, Shabbos toys and Torahs, and if it's a holiday, I'll bring like whatever the holiday is associated with, like little shofars and whatever I can give the children, and I bring challahs to give out, and I teach the children about welcoming Shabbos. I show them how I put the Shabbos candles. I have a little microphone that I put, and the kids all start coming, and many times people just randomly pass by and they're shocked. They hear a familiar voice, they hear a familiar song, and they are mesmerized by this whole idea. And the children just right away come, they right away want the challah, they feel connected to it right away. And this is a way to influence. So I feel like whatever comes my way, I try to do it, and I try to do it as big as I can because that's what comes easy to me. But it doesn't always have to be that. It could be whatever comes your way. You know that this is your shlichus. This is the way you spread your light.
I'm trying to imagine you in a park turning on Shabbat Shali music.
I actually wanted to mention that many times mothers come to me. A mother recently came to me and she said, I was walking in the park and I'm thinking that I'm not giving my daughters enough Yiddishkeit, and I hear this familiar song, and then there you are, and you gave my daughters a challah and you gave them a Torah. She's like, I can't believe this. I was just thinking that I need to have more Yiddishkeit in my life and how to do it, and you were just there. And it's amazing.
Okay, we need some more ideas for those of us who are not adventurous enough to go to a park and set up shop.
So you don't always have to set up shop. It could be that you have an amazing smile, and your smile is your shlichus. You smile to someone, and they'll come to you, and you'll be able to speak to them and say something to them that will change their day. The Rebbe said that on the year of HAKHEL, we're all kings. We are all, wherever we are in charge of that environment. It's our responsibility to bring Yiddishkeit to another person and to have that become a part of their everyday life. So it could be almost anything that you do. It doesn't have to be just one thing. It doesn't have to be big. It could be even with just one person. I can give an example. For example, I usually, in holidays or when there's like a special occasion, I'll walk around with something. Like this year I was walking around with the shofar, just to remind people that Rosh Hashanah is coming. So I go to the senior center and I do a welcoming Shabbat class for them. And as I was finishing and going downstairs, there was nobody in the reception. There was a new lady there, and she saw me, and I saw that her eyes were sparkling when she saw my box. And I realized that maybe she's Jewish, so I asked her, she asked me, what do you do? I told her I do the welcoming Shabbat. And she said, what do you have in this box? I said, I have like stuff that I teach the seniors. I said, are you Jewish? And she said, yes. I said, did you hear the shofar this year? Because it was right after Rosh Hashanah and right before Yom Kippur. And she said, no. So I said, do you want me to blow the shofar for you? And she said, you could blow the shofar? I said, yeah, I'll blow it for you since you didn't hear it. So I blew the shofar for her, and then she was like shocked. And then somebody called from upstairs and said, what is this noise? And she said, the rabbi just blew the shofar for me. So it was funny, but I asked her, would you promise me that you'll go to the synagogue on Yom Kippur and hear the shofar? And she said she would, and she reassured me the week after that she did. Yeah.
You do this so naturally, like you normalize it, like we were saying before. But, I want to circle back to the idea of the whole point of HAKHEL is for an increase in Yiras Shamayim. Man yilmadu l'man yishmu v'yaru. So how do you, make it more than just challah? How do you turn it from like this experience into really increasing other people's Yiras Shamayim, which is the whole goal of HAKHEL?
So again, to answer this, I emphasize that each person needs to know their strength and not to be scared to use them. So each person has it in a different way. So I have all these ideas, and I bring them to life. And it could be that you're just a good speaker. It could be that you have a nice home. It could be that you have all kind of different tools that could become your shlichus, that could become your HAKHEL. So I'll give you a small example. I decided to change my car plate. A lot of people know that. And my car plate on my car says challah. So challah, yeah. So you don't have to change your car plate, but that's just what I did. So it's just a small example. And I went to a gas station, and I always have this idea in my head that every day I have to meet a Jewish person that needs something, and I will help them. So I put gas, and all of a sudden I hear a voice, and she comes to me and she says, it says challah? I'm like, yeah, it says challah. I said, do you want challah? She's like, you have challah? I'm like, yeah, it's Friday, I have challah. So I said, I'm the challah lady. So she said, okay, I'll take challah, and then we started to talk. And so that was a HAKHEL already. So as we were talking, I asked her, do you put Shabbos candles? She said, no, but I do have Shabbos candles, and I could put them on. So I said, would you please put it today? And she said, yes. So from this little conversation, she ended up putting Shabbos candles, and she got challah for Shabbos. And you never know what this did to her neshama. It might have become something that became part of her life every day. So when you think that way, things come your way. And each one of us, if we like it or not, we have that light. It came with us to this world. And it's not our light. The Rebbe Rasha says, a lamplighter has a light, but it's not his light. You have to share that light so you can light others. This is our responsibility. And in the year of HAKHEL, this is even a bigger responsibility. And we all have it in us to take that step and to do something. It doesn't have to be big. The result might be bigger than you think. Sometimes the action is big, sometimes it's small, but the result, the end result, will always be lighting another Jewish person, their life, their children, their grandchildren. We have no idea sometimes what the end result will be, and we have to try.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh. You know, I want to make sure that we're not misleading anyone in the sense that it's very easy to get up on stage and talk about HAKHEL and pontificate. And what about like when you're regular, when you're home, you know, in your pajamas or in your tichel and you're not feeling your best and you're feeling, you know, stressed or sad or worried or busy or frazzled or things are very, very hard. And I just want to wrap up this HAKHEL segment by saying we all feel that way sometimes. And that's the whole beauty of HAKHEL starting from within. I have said this to myself on countless occasions, and I found it so helpful. The Rebbe talks about HAKHELing yourself. You know, today people are very into inner child and gathering all your inner parts. And some people are like, oh, Hasidus is like that. And no, it's the opposite. Other people are getting from Hasidus. Hasidus talks to us about we have the king inside and the child inside and the man inside and the woman inside. And yeah, there are going to be some kids who weren't in the mood of going to HAKHEL, and we brought those kids to HAKHEL too. And it's about talking to all those parts inside of us and getting them on board, on getting them HAKHELed, on getting them unified and listening to the king and adding in our own Yiras Shamayim, like each of our panelists said, so that when we add in our own, like Sarah Korn, it could spill over into our family like Rifki Levi, and into our community like Chassi Rifkin, and then to a whole world like Shelley. So thank you. Tonight will be a combination for bringing concerts, singing, inspiration, dancing, relaxing, and fun. Please welcome back to the stage, Yafush Barkan.
קהל גדול, הנני מביא אותם לארץ צפון וגבעתי מעקד הארץ. הנני מביא אותם לארץ צפון וגבעתי מעקד הארץ. באי ופיצח ערבי יולדת יחד, ערבי יולדת יחד. באי ופיצח ערבי יולדת יחד. שנים במורד שנת השמיטה בחג הסוכות במחול ישראל עירו יוסיף פני השם במקום אשר יבחר ובכל ישראל לראות את פני השם במקום אשר יבחר הקל, הקל, הקל את האור האנשים, אנשים ואת האור הקל, הקל, הקל את האור האנשים, אנשים ואת האור למען ישמעו ולמען ילמדו ויראו את השם אלוקיכם ושמרו לעשות את כל דברי התורה הזאת. Thank you. So, I want to say again that I'm so excited to be here tonight. Thank you. In honor of the Rebbe Rashab birthday, we will start off this HAKHEL gathering with the Rebbe Rashab Nigun. Rostov. Let me hear you. Thank you so much. We are together here, all of us, with unity and happiness. Bezrat Hashem, Mashiach will come from here. Amen.
Thank you so much. The Rebbe Rashab had great pride in Yiddishkeit and Hasidishkeit, and he started Tomchei Tmimim. As we go forth and carry on his legacy, let us connect to our pride in who we are.
רק בנו בחר להם סגולה מכל העמים. בכל אחד ואחד מאיתנו בוערת אמונה מבפנים. לאן שלא אלך זה מלווה אותי ביום ובלילה. ואהבת ישראל תנצח, אהבה שלא די לה. כי אני יהודי, כולם אחים שלי פה, שאני לעצמי לא מוצא את האור. כל מה שיביאו לי, כל מה שיגידו לי, שום דבר לא יעזור. כי אני יהודי, רק איתכם אני רוצה, רק איתכם אני מוצא אור. זה זמן גאולה, ניצח בתפילה, קדימה אחים, שיום יבוא וכל אחד מאיתנו יגלה לי בפנים. אז בוא לכאן אחי, רק תלך איתי ונעלה עד למעלה. כי אהבת ישראל תנצח, אהבה שלא די לה. כי אני יהודי, כולם אחים שלי פה, וכשאני לעצמי אני לא מוצא את האור. כל מה שיביאו לי, כל מה שיגידו לי, שום דבר לא יעזור. כי אני יהודי, רק איתכם אני רוצה, רק איתכם אני מוצא אור. A little later, so you've been through. Ask me where from, and I will tell you. I'm a Jew and every Jew's a proud Jew. Not just me, my sisters and my brothers. Never be ashamed to be a proud Jew. It's not what you've done, it's how he made you. To sing a song, play the band around you. יהודי אני, eternally. בני אברהם, יצחק ויעקב. בני אברהם, יצחק ויעקב. כולם. עברי אנוכי ויש השם, אלוקי השמיים אני אוהב. I want to hear you. Hey. אלוקי השמיים אני אוהב. אלוקי השמיים אני אוהב. I'm proud and singing out loud, 'cause forever and ever is what I'll be. I'm a Jew and I'm proud and without a doubt, Hashem is always watching over me. Hey, hey. Oh, 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 oh. Hi, hi, hi. כל העולם נושא אליי, לירושלים, לארץ כה קטנה, ומדברים בלי סוף עדיין, אבל בינתיים עברה לה עוד שנה. לכל מקום שבו תלך, כולם יודעים שבניסים הוא מתקיים, ואת מי שרק תבחר תשמע שעם ישראל עוד חי. יהודי זה אחי, זה שלם לא חצי, זהו כוח אדיר לעולם ומהיר. יהודי זה הכל, זהו זמר אחד. לכל מקום שבו תלך, כולם יודעים שבניסים הוא מתקיים, ואת מי שרק תבחר תשמע שעם ישראל
Join me. My friend, in times like this, it's hard to see this insanity. Help me in a reality so and unknown. Life as we knew it forever changed, and there's no peace of mind to be found. Sorry, who can even make sense of tomorrow when our dreams keep crashing to the ground? And yet, as we rise to greeting up, oh, my English, sorry, still bright in the sky, always a reason to hope for better times. Though it seems like the answers run away, we've got enough, just enough to keep us going, holding on to unbroken simple faith. 'Cause I eat persevere through the deepest despairs is the morning. His daughter loves him, that's what a hero's on to. 'Cause I never breaks, and I never, and I never gives up in the night. He perseveres through the deepest despair. He's the moon of strength, him for the fight that Hashem has a plan. His daughter loves him, that's what he doesn't do. 'Cause I eat never breaks, and I eat never bends, and I eat never gives up in the night. It perseveres through the deepest disputes. Is the moon of strengthens him for the fight to make it true. His daughter loves him, that's what he also do. Where are you? Someone come over to me and ask me what it's like to be a Yid. Someone came over to me and asked me what it's like to be a Yid. This is what I told her. This is what I told her. This is what I told her. Everybody, 'cause I eat never, and I eat never gives up in the night. He perseveres through the deepest despair for the fight, and I understand that Hashem has a plan to make it true. His daughter loves him, that's what he doesn't do. It's Geschmack to be a Yid, Geschmack to be a Yid. Tini nai 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 nai. Tini nai nai nai. Geschmack to be a Yid. Tini nai 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 nai. This is what I told you. This is what I told you. This is what I told you. Tini nai nai nai. Wow! Thank you so much. Wow. As Yidden, no matter what happens or where life takes us, we always connect to Hashem. Our emunah and bitachon is what carries us forth from generation to generation. So please, Abba, Abba. אבא, אני רוצה לעמוד מולך, להבין שאתה אבא טוב. אבא, אני רוצה להיות בטוחה בכל ליבי, ככה סתם, אבא טוב. אבא, אני רוצה לדעת בכל ליבי שלמסע הזה יהיה סוף טוב, שכל מה שאני עוברת בדרך יהפוך חולשה לעוצמה גדולה. אבא, אני רוצה לחזור אליי, למצוא אותך שם איתי, במקום שלי אני טוב גמור, אבא, ושם אני מאמינה בעצמי. Everybody, אבא, 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 מלך העולם. אבא של כולם. שוב ושוב אתה סולח, רק אליך עוד בורח, אבא, אוי תתה, אבא, אבא, אבא. אבא של כולם, שוב ושוב אתה סולח, רק אליך עוד בורח, אבא, אבא שלי. One, two, three, go, Abba, Tate, Father, please don't hide for me, Abba, Tate, Father, אל תסתר פניך ממני, please don't hide for me, don't hide for me. Don't hide from me. ויש ימים שאני לא יכול יותר, ליהודי קשה לחיות בתוך הסתר. רוצה לראות אותך כל רגע בחיי, אבא בוא אליי. So sing it like this and אבא, tate, Father, please don't hide from me, Abba, Father, Father, אל תסתר פניך ממני. יש אבא גדול, יש אבא גדול, אבא שבשמיים, אין עוד מלבדו, בארץ ובשמיים. יש אבא גדול, יש אבא גדול, יש אבא גדול, יש אבא גדול, בארץ ובשמיים. תודה אבא, thank you. And now, as Hasidim, we get our strength and focus from our Rebbe. He guides us in how we lead our life. Let us show our pride as Hasidim. Thank you. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו.
השם, השם רחלה. סבלנו מורים, הגלות כה קשה, מדוע לא הגיעה הגאולה? Your children are yearning to be with you. This God must continue, fulfilling your vow to be Mashiach right now. תודה לך רבי, בשביל כל מה שאתה בשבילנו. תודה רבה. Your children are yearning to be with you. How long can this godless continue? Bring back your love, fulfilling your vow to be Mashiach right now. To be Mashiach right now. Thank you. In this year of HAKHEL, we gather in unity. A nation united can accomplish the impossible and change the world. So let's join us to Unity Song. Please help me with my English. Okay? Angels in the sky, in a garden full of glory, the galaxies so brilliantly related, ultimately high on the first page of a story, till the time our parents were created. Brothers chain through a blossom mad and chilling, he never did recover. It's really so insane, all our sadness that killing the strangerhood, our sisters and our brother. Now everybody, listen brothers, listen brothers, listen. Just a little smile and helping hand, and our hearts will find just peace of mind and unity. We must teach our children to treat your fellow friend like, and then the world will find just peace of mind and unity. Oh, listen, just a little smile and helping hand, and a heart, just a little smile and helping hand, and our hearts will find just love and kind humanity. Yes, and then the world will find just peace of mind and unity. Oh, we must teach our children to treat your fellow friends like where they're you, and then the world will find just peace of mind and unity. An helping hand, and the heart will find just peace of mind and unity. We must teach our children to treat your fellow friend like we're the you, and then the world will find just peace of mind and unity. I'm better in Hebrew. Sorry. And now we'll take a break, a little break. See you soon. Thank you.
I don't know where you get your energy from, but she could just keep going and going and going. If you did not put in for the raffle, we're going to do it at the end. But I just, taking a short commercial break. We still have a lot more singing to go. I wanted to make a few announcements. Shh. First of all, again, an opportunity. Neshei Chabad Mivtzaim, you could pick it up on your way out. And if you did get inspired to continue in your community, you can also join as a volunteer to be HAKHEL. You could sign up on their website and really continue this HAKHEL. Your souvenir bag has a coin for tzedakah, pushkas we're going around, which continues to help Neshei Chabad Mivtzaim spread their light. I also want to do a save the date to all of you that are here. Neshei Chabad is going to making their grand Rosh Chodesh Kislev HAKHEL next Wednesday. It's going to be right here with a guest speaker from Eretz Yisrael. It's a beautiful, amazing story. People are always like, you really bring people in from Eretz Yisrael? I just want to tell you something. We brought Yafush in from Eretz Yisrael. How are we enjoying her so far? I also want to say that this evening is a schus for Fura Shalema, for Yosef Yitzchak ben Sima Chasya, Shneir Zalman ben Hinda, and Chava Gutta bas Henya Chasya. And everybody should have a Fura Shalema, and everyone here should get the brachas from the Keli of HAKHEL and really have all your tefillahs answered. We also want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, and then we are going to continue the concert.
מחשבות טובות, מחשבות טובות, דיבורים טובים. מחשבות טובות, מחשבות טובות, כולם. דיבורים טובים. די 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 די. דיבורים טובים. מחשבות טובות, תחשוב טוב, יהיה טוב, טראח גוט, וזיין גוט. And now we have all the reasons, all the sibot to sing Sibat HaSibot. What are you saying? תשיבי את הרוח, תוריד ממני את הגשם, היה לי זמן לנוח, התרגלתי קצת בטן, ובמרחב הפתוח רואים באופק את השמש, אין ספק אני בטוח, בסוף עוד תתבהר הדרך. רק פתח לנו שערי אמונה, כי לא, 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 אלא אתה סיבת הסיבות, הילמת הילות, נורא תהילות, ורק לך נאה להודות על כל הימים וכל הלילות, רק אתה. יצאנו מתיבת הנוח, אוי על מציאות אחרת, לפדות את אסירי הכוח, לחודי הרשת, גם לקבל את השחור לבן, מול כל צבעי הקשת. משנה אבות פרק ג', חביב אדם שנברא בצלם, רק פתח לנו שערי הבנה לא, 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 ורק לך נאה להודות על כל הימים וכל הלילות, רק אתה סיבת הסיבות, הילמת הילות, ורק לך. Now, 1, 2, 3, כולם. רק אתה סיבת הסיבות, הילמת הילות, נורא תהילות, רק לך נאה להודות על כל הימים וכל הלילות. נאה להודות על כל הימים וכל הלילות, רק אתה. And now I have a special guest. I want to invite, welcome to the stage, HAKHEL Bronstein. Yeah, yeah. This one, take this one. Number 2. אוי נפשי, איך חמדה ותן ידך אוי לדעת כל סודך נפשי חמדה ותן ידך שיחי עליך כי נפשי תערוג אליך ירב נא שיחי עליך כי נפשי שרוי אליך ותן ידך אוי לדעת כל סודך נפשי Thank you so much. Hey.
Thank you.
Hey. Oh. Hey. Oh. Thank you, Chavara Bronstein. Let's. כתוב פה פיניש, אנחנו לא פיניש, נכון? לא, ממש לא פיניש. Connection with the joy of Geula. With our joy and simcha here today, maybe Zoiche, right? To have the ultimate connection of Mashiach Tzidkenu. Please, Anavim, הגיע הזמן גאולתכם. היה לי כבר.
בשעה שמלך המשיח בא, בשעה שמלך המשיח בא, עומד על גג בית המקדש, משמיע לישראל ואומר, now you בשעה, אוי בשעה שמלך המשיח, מלך המשיח בא, משמיע לישראל והאמת, הנור במנופי, הגיע הזמן, הגיע הזמן, גאולתכם, ואם אין אתם מאמינים, ואם אין אתם מאמינים, ראו מאורי שזורח. הגיע הזמן, הגיע הזמן גאולתכם, ואם אין אתם מאמינים, ואם אין אתם מאמינים, ראו מאורי שזורח, ראו מאורי שזורח. אני באמונה שלמה, אני מאמין באמונה שלמה, בביאת המשיח אני מאמין, גאולה, גאולה, לה, לה, גאולה, גאולה, לה, לה, גאולה, גאולה, משיח בא. We want Mashiach now. We want Mashiach now. We want Mashiach now. We don't run away. We want Mashiach now. We want Mashiach now. We want Mashiach now. We don't run away. שיבוא, אם מאמין מתוך הנשמה, ושיבוא, שיבוא, עם כל זה נחכה לו, שיבוא, שיבוא, מאמין מתוך הנשמה, ושיבוא, שיבוא, עם כל זה נחכה לו. אוי שיבוא, שרק יבוא, שרק יבוא אותו היום, שרק יבוא, בכל הרחובות תלבשו חג, שתעלה את התפילה, שתעלה ותחבר אותנו אל מקום חדש, שרק יבוא אותו היום, שרק יבוא בכל הרחובות. זה השיר הכי טוב בישראל, look for אותו היום, אוקיי? ותחבר אותנו אל מקום חדש. טיני ניי 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 ניי, שרק יבוא אותו היום, שרק יבוא בכל הרחובות תלבשו חג, שתעלה אותה תפילה, שתעלה ותחבר אותנו אל מקום חדש, אל מקום חדש, כי אנחנו כבר מוכנים. Are you ready? כי אני בא, עברתי כל הדרך, אני בא, אני
אני עומד בדלת ואני שואל, האם אתם היום מוכנים לקבל אותי? אנחנו מוכנים, אנחנו מוכנים. אנחנו מוכנים, אנחנו מוכנים. אנחנו מוכנים. בזכות אהבת חינם ייבנה בית המקדש השלישי. בזכות אהבת חינם, בזכות אהבת חינם ייבנה בית המקדש השלישי. בוא נשמע אתכם. ואולי amazing. השלישי, בזכות אהבת חינם, בזכות אהבת חינם ייבנה בית המקדש השלישי. One, two, three, go! Mosai, 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 Tila. Mosai, 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 Tila. וזה השייד, זה בא, תתיו, ותמלוך עלינו בימינו, תתיו. לא, לא, על ידי שליח, לא, לא. וזה השייד, זה בא, תתיו, ותמלוך עלינו בימינו. 1, 2, 3, go! 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. לא, לא, על ידי מלאך, לא. לא, לא, על ידי מלאך, לא. לא, לא, על ידי שליח, לא. לא, רק הוא לבדו. אז תן לנו סימן שכבר יבוא. תן לנו סימן שכבר יבוא. We want a sign. לא רק sign, אנחנו רוצים אותו. We want משיח now. שיבנה בית המקדש. אוי, שיבנה בית המקדש, שיבנה בימינו, תן חלקנו בתורתך. שיבנה בית המקדש, ותן חלקנו בתורתך. שיבנה בית המקדש, שיבנה בימינו. אוי אוי, מההתחלה, from the beginning. שיבנה בית המקדש, במהרה בימינו, ותן חלקנו בתורתך. יו יו יו. ותן חלקנו בתורתך. 1, 2, 3. ותן חלקנו בתורתך. שיבנה בית המקדש במהרה בימינו, תן חלקנו בתורתך. שיבנה בית המקדש, ותן חלקנו בתורתך. אוי אוי אוי, במהרה בימינו. בתורתך. Whoa. I planned to finish here, but גם אני רוצה, אתם עושות לי כוח, אני רוצה. אוקיי, so. אוקיי. נגמר לך? אני אגיד לכם מה, אמרו לי, they told me that no one will dance, okay? No one. אז אמרנו, אוקיי, בסדר, אז כולם ישבו, וזהו. ו-I'm gonna finish ונלך כולם הביתה. Okay, so let's continue.
yeah, whoa, yeah, whoa, whoa, אנחנו מאמינים למאמינים, ואין לנו על מי להישען, אלא אבינו, אבינו שבשמיים. Whoa, hey, whoa, hey, whoa, hey, whoa. again מחשבות טובות, another מחשבות. צריך הרבה מחשבות טובות. איי, 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 מחשבות. איי, איי, איי. Chidi-da-da-da-da-da, chidi-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. Chidi-da-da-da-da-da, ma-ya-ya. הדיבורים טובים, בחורות טובות, אמהות מעולות. Can I get some volume, more volume here? Chidi-da-ya-ya. Chidi-da-ya-ya. שידוכים טובים, שידוכים טובים, בעזרת השם, this year. די 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 די. די 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 די. Good שידוכים בעזרת השם, this year. אמן. תמה 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 תמה. היי תמה 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 לך נפשי קמה 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 קמה. היי תמה 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 לך נפשי קמה לך בשרי. היי דו היי טידי דו טידי די דו היי טידי דו טידי די דו היי טידי דו היי די טידי דו היי דו היי טידי די דו טידי די דו טידי די דו טידי די די דו. תמה 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 לך נפשי. טידי די די היי טידי דו טידי די דו היי טידי דו. אוי היי תמה 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 לך נפשי. היי דו היי טידי דו טידי די דו היי טידי דו טידי דו היי טידי דו. Oh, hi, da, hi, titty da, do, titty da, do, my titty da, do, titty da, do, my titty da, titty da, da, da. Oh, 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 oh. Do, 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 do. Hi, titty da, da, da. Oh, hi, titty da, do, my titty da, da, da. Hi, da. Titty-da-da, my titty-da-da-da.
Tiri-da, da-da-da-da-da-da. Tiri-da, tiri-da, ay, ay, ay. Kula! Tiri-da, tiri-da, tiri-da-da-da-da-da. Tiri-da, tiri-da, ay, ay, ay. Kula! Oh, tiri-da-da, tiri-da-da-da. Ay, tiri-da-da, ay, tiri-da-da-da. Tiri-da, ay, ay, ay. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Tiri-da, tiri-da-da, ay, tiri-da-da-da. Tiri-da-da-da-da-da. Tiri-da-da. Tiri-da, tiri-da, tiri-da-da-da. Oh, tiri-da, tiri-da. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh, tiri-da-da, tiri-da-da-da-da. Tiri-da, tiri-da-da, hey, tiri-da-da-da. 1, 2, 3, go. Tiri-da. Hey! I want to see women dancing. Women. Where's the women? I want them here. Here, come here. All the women come here. Now, 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 now. Please make them place. I want them here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. מחיאות כפיים. Der Rebbe soll sein gesund und stark. Der Rebbe soll sein gesund. Der Rebbe soll sein gesund und stark. Der Rebbe soll sein gesund. Der Rebbe soll sein gesund. Der Rebbe soll sein gesund und stark. Der Rebbe soll sein gesund. Der Rebbe soll sein gesund. Der Rebbe soll sein gesund und stark. Kula! Der Rebbe ist gesund. Alles für mich. Baruch HaMakol. Baruch HaMakol. Hey, der Rebbe ist gesund. Alles für dich. Hey, Baruch HaMakol. כל הכבוד ל-women שרוקדות פה. איי, איי, איי. אוי, der Rebbe soll sein gesund. Der Rebbe soll sein gesund. Der Rebbe soll sein gesund und stark. Der Rebbe. Alles für dich. Oi, oi, oi. Nein, 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 nein. 1, 2, 3, der Rebbe ist gesund. Nein, 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 nein. Baruch HaMakol, Baruch HaMakol, Baruch HaMakol. Sure, der Rebbe ist gesund. Ja, da, 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 da. Didi, da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hashem Admatai ve'hinachem. Can I have music here? חסדך ונרננה ונשמחה בכל ימינו שובה שובה וינחם סבינו בבוקר ונרננה ונשמחה בכל ימינו ונרננה ונשמחה ונרננה ונשמחה בכל ימינו כולם יראה אל עבדיך פה עליך וינו עם השם אלוקינו עלינו בדרך על ביניהם וינו עם השם אלוקינו עלינו מעשה ידינו כוננו מעשה ידינו כוננו די 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 היי די 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 קום קום והתהלך בארץ והתהלך בארץ הקדושה קום והתהלך בארץ הקדושה בארץ אשר הרקע קום 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 והתהלך בארץ התהלך בארץ הקדושה קום והתהלך בארץ הקדושה בארץ אשר הרקע ימה 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 כי את כל הארץ אשר אתה אוהב לך לך אצלנה את ארץ ישראל ימה 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 כי את כל הארץ אשר אתה אוהב לך לך אצלנה את ארץ ישראל
okay? Can you stop for the הגרלה? Thank you. אוקיי, הגרלה, איך אומרים הגרלה?
We want more! We want more!
Okay, after the הגרלה.
Yay.
Thank you.
Yafush, it says when Mashiach comes, 770 will attach to the Beis Hamikdash. Thank you for giving us that feeling tonight, Yafush.
Wow.
Wow,
Thank you
it feels geuladik in here. Wow. Yafush, all the brachas. Ad bli dai. B'toy v'nir v'nigle. We're about to draw our raffle. Wait. Okay. I want to say a real thank you to Beis Rivka branches. Noah, Alti, Tzivi, under Sarah's guidance. You really do this as a shlichus, with passion, with grace, and look what happened tonight. The first of many in Mirz Hashem. Okay, and our first prize tonight, this special Rebbe dime and certificate towards a setting was donated by Rifki Levy and family. She got it as a young Beis Rivka girl. Okay, hold this. Thank you, Rivka Sasson. Okay. And the winner is, Rivka, pick one. And the winner is Naomi Rutban. Okay, she's going to come up soon. Hold it. Is Naomi still here? If not, we have her number here. Is she here? Naomi's here! Woo! Naomi, please come up. When she comes up to the stage, give it to, oh, right here? Okay. And give it a gift certificate. Thank you so much. The gift certificate to Tzvasman Jewelers. Okay. Okay. This Rebbe dollar is very precious to me. It was given to me on Cheshvon, Tafshin Nun Aleph, when I was in seminary here. And thank you for making this evening so fantastic, everybody. You're all winners. We're all together in this. And the winner for this dollar is Rivka Leah-Shinitsky from the Miftzayim Committee. Here she is. You see her coming, Rivka? She's coming. She's coming. Can you see? We can't see anybody. Is she coming? Okay. Okay, we're going to come and give it to her. Come. And now, Yafosh.
Just a second, I want to say, wow, this dress. Oh. I want to say thank you for a special woman, Rivki Boyarski. איך אומרים? איך אומרים? whatever. Okay, אני גרה אצלה. Okay? And she opened her house, her home, and her heart. Thank you so much, Rivki. איפה שאת. Thank you, and let the show continue. מחכים, מצפים, מקווים ורוצים שיגיע כבר היום. זה יקרה עוד מעט, זאת תפילה רק אחת, שתביא את הגאולה בתוך ליבי. החכלות, הלוואי שכבר יבוא. אם אשכחך ירושלים, תשכח ימיני, כולם. הלוואי שמשיח יבוא. Thank you all of you.
תודה רבה שהגעתם היום, תודה רבה. הלוואי שנשוב לציון, הלוואי שכולנו נחזור למקום, הלוואי בימיי, הלוואי ירושלים, הלוואי. יש אנשים שלא מרגישים את הלהבה אשר בוערת מבפנים, היא בתוך הנשמה מאירה וחמה. וואו 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 וואו. יש אנשים שלא מרגישים, היא בתוך הנשמה מאירה וחמה. וואו 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 וואו. זה הסוד. מה הסוד? נכון, נכון. תתנו יד ביד. Let's dance! Time to light the fire now! תדליקו את האש, תגידים יש. נשיר עד הבוקר, הבוקר יבוא. תגידים יש. נשיר עד הבוקר, הבוקר יבוא. תדליק את האש. תדליק את האש. Do you know the secret? מלבדו אין עוד. אז ניתן יד ביד ונרקוד. Time to light the fire now. Woo! תדליקו את האש. נשיר עד הבוקר, הבוקר יבוא. תדליק את האש. תדליק את האש. בואו נדליק את האש, קצב שכובש, לילה מרגש, יהיה פה כיף, יהיה. בואו נדליק את האש, קצב שכובש, לילה מרגש, יהיה פה כיף, יהיה. מחר השמש תזרח וכולנו נשמח, לא נצטרך עוד לבכות. מחר הכל ייבהר, הכאב ייגמר, רק צריך להאמין שאפשר לחכות אל מחר. יהיה, יהיה, וואו. לחכות עד מחר. כל עם ישראל אחים, כל עם ישראל אחיות, we are sisters. This is the last song, let's dance. 2, 3, go. כל עם ישראל אחים, כל עם ישראל אחים, מה כן? עם ישראל אחים, אחים בנפש, אוי 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 אוי. ושוב עם ישראל אחים, אחים בנפש, אוי 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 אוי. ואחרי הכל אנחנו לא ניפול, נמשיך ביחד כל הדרך ונצעק בכל שם. 1, 2, 3, go. כל עם ישראל אחים, אחים בנפש, אוי 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 אוי. הופ 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 הופ. תירירי. אנחנו מאמינים. לא, אנחנו מאמינים. סליחה, כל העולם כולו גשר. We have another one? כל העולם כולו גשר. כל העולם כולו גשר. צר מאוד. כל העולם כולו גשר. כל העולם כולו גשר. כל העולם כולו גשר צר ועוד 2, 3, go! תרימו את העיניים והעיקר לא לפחד כלל לא, לא, לא לא להרים ידיים והעיקר לא לפחד כלל איזו שמחה שמחה של מצווה תמיד בשמחה תמיד בשמחה ואבא בשמיים לא 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 להרים ידיים והעיקר לא לפחד כלל Thank you so much! אוי אוי, אנחנו מאמינים למאמינים ואין לנו על מי להישאר אוי אל אבינו אוי אני מאמין אוי אני מאמין באמונה שלמה אוי בביאת המשיח מביאת המשיח אני מאמין אוי ואף על פי שישמח אוי ואף על פי שישמח עם כל זה אני מאמין אוי אני מאמין אני מאמין אני מאמין אוי באמונה שלמה אוי בביאת המשיח בביאת המשיח אני מאמין אוי בביאת המשיח בביאת המשיח אני מאמין אוי ואף על פי שישמח עם כל זה אני מאמין Oi, Taya Brider, wir werden sich weiter sehen, wir werden sich weiter sehen. Der Rebbe ist unser Geben, gesund zu leben, werden wir fallen zum Rebbe, wir werden sich weiter sehen. Oi, Taya Brider, wir werden sich weiter sehen, wir werden sich weiter sehen. Der Rebbe ist unser Geben, gesund zu leben, werden wir fallen zum Rebbe, wir werden sich weiter sehen. Oi, Taya Brider, wir werden sich weiter sehen. Der Rebbe ist unser Geben, gesund zu leben. Mir will sich weiter sehen, oi Taya Brider. Thank you so much to Sarah Leblau. Where are you? Sarah, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so thankful that I met you. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Rivka.
Has anyone ever seen someone with so much energy, so much grace, such a beautiful voice, can carry such a crowd? Was it worth it to bring Yafush? Next Women's HAKHEL, make sure you join us. Yes, thank you.
One. There is a Ford Bronco. What color? It's dark, and it's dark outside, blocking the driveway. If you parked in front of the driveway, a Ford Bronco, please go out and move it. Thank you.